Ever feel like you're kind of just running on autopilot, you know?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
going through the motions.
Definitely.
Not a fun place to be.
No, not at all.
But you're in luck today because we are going to be diving deep into mindfulness.
Yes, we are.
We're going to unpack what it is, how it can help with, mental well-being,
Mm-hmm.
and most importantly, how we can actually like weave it into our everyday life.
Exactly. And we have got two really great sources from the UK to guide us.
Okay. Yeah.
One from the National Health Service.
Okay. The NHS.
Yes, NHS as they call it. And then another one from the Mental Health Foundation.
Perfect. So both sources seem to agree that mindfulness is about tuning into the present moment.
Yeah.
But it's not just about what's going on in your head. It's also about your physical sensations and the world around you.
I think it's interesting that you say like tuning in because that's really what it's about. It's like
Yeah.
we've been listening to this radio station that's full of static, and mindfulness helps us find a clear signal.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of getting lost in thoughts about the past
Yeah.
or worries about the future,
Right.
mindfulness is helping us focus on, what we're experiencing right now.
Exactly.
The Mental Health Foundation guide even talks about noticing the air moving past your body as you walk.
Oh, yeah.
I never really thought about that before.
It's true, though, right? You don't think about that.
No.
It's about those really subtle sensations that we usually miss.
Yeah.
Like really feeling the texture of your clothes,
Yeah.
the temperature of the air, the taste of your food.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how does paying attention to these things actually improve our mental well-being?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
One key insight is that mindfulness helps us see that our thoughts are just mental events, not necessarily facts.
So instead of getting swept away by like every anxious thought,
Yeah.
we can learn to observe it without judgment and let it pass.
Exactly. And the more we practice this, the less power those thoughts have over us. What I thought was really fascinating is that even the UK's National Institute for Health and Care Excellence,
Oh, wow.
or NICE, is on board with this.
Okay.
They actually recommend mindfulness for treating mild depression.
Wait, really? That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Coming from a national healthcare organization.
It is, and it's not just a random suggestion either. Their recommendation is based on research showing that mindfulness can be as effective as medication for some people with mild depression.
Wow, that's really interesting. It sounds like mindfulness is gaining some serious traction as a legitimate approach to mental health.
Definitely.
But let's get practical here. How can our listener actually incorporate mindfulness into their daily life?
Yeah.
I mean, I get the concept, but
Yeah.
where do you even begin?
It's easier than we might think.
Okay.
Both sources actually highlight some simple yet powerful techniques.
Okay.
For example, they both emphasize the importance of noticing everyday sensations. We've already talked about that a bit, but it's worth reiterating, really paying attention to the feeling of your feet on the ground, the taste of your coffee, the sounds around you.
So it's like taking those autopilot moments and turning them into opportunities for mindful awareness.
Precisely. And another key is establishing a regular mindfulness practice.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be hours of meditation.
Okay, good.
Even just a few minutes each day can make a difference.
That's good to hear, because I'll admit the thought of meditating for hours can be a bit daunting.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works for you and starting small. The NHS article even suggests little things like trying a new lunch spot or sitting in a different seat during meetings,
Right.
just to kind of shake things up and enhance your awareness,
Yeah.
It's about being present in those everyday moments instead of mindlessly going through the motions.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like being present.
Yeah. I love that idea of like shaking things up.
Right.
It's like reminding ourselves that we have the power to choose.
Exactly. Experience the world even in like those
Yeah.
seemingly mundane moments.
Absolutely. And speaking of choosing how we experience things,
Sure.
the Mental Health Foundation guide talks about acknowledging and naming your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Oh, okay.
So if you're feeling stressed,
Yeah.
you might say to yourself, okay, this is stress.
Okay.
I'm noticing it, but I'm not going to let it define me.
It sounds like it's about creating some space between you and those intense emotions.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's like becoming an observer of your own internal weather patterns.
Okay.
You notice the storm clouds gathering, but you don't have to get swept away by them.
Gotcha. And of course, we can't forget about the breath.
Oh, yes, the breath.
Both sources emphasize focusing on your breath as a way to anchor yourself in the present moment.
Such a powerful tool.
Yeah.
The breath is always with us.
Right.
This constant rhythm can help us regulate our emotions, calm our minds.
It's no wonder that breathwork has been a central part of like meditation practices
Right.
for centuries.
For sure. They also mention mindful walking and mindful eating,
Oh,
bringing that same awareness to those everyday activities.
exactly.
So instead of mindlessly shoveling food into your mouth
Right.
while scrolling through your phone,
Mm-hmm.
you're actually tasting each bite,
Yeah.
noticing the textures and the flavors.
It's funny, when I first started practicing mindful eating,
Yeah.
I was amazed by how much I had been missing.
Really?
Food became this whole sensory experience,
Yeah.
not just a way to like fuel my body.
That's really cool. That makes me want to put my phone down and actually savor my next meal.
I encourage you to try it.
Yeah.
It can really transform your relationship with food.
Now, speaking of transforming experiences, I was really intrigued by the section on mindfulness-based therapies.
Yes.
It seems like mindfulness has gone from a niche practice
Right.
to something that's being integrated into mainstream healthcare.
It's true therapies like mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, or MBCT,
Okay.
and mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR,
MBSR.
are gaining recognition for their effectiveness in treating a range of conditions.
So MBCT is specifically for people who struggle with recurring depression, right?
Yes. It combines mindfulness techniques with elements of cognitive behavioral therapy
Uh-huh.
to help people break free from those negative thought patterns
Okay.
that can contribute to depression.
But what about MBSR? How is that different?
MBSR is more broadly focused on managing stress and cultivating resilience.
Okay.
So it's often used for people who don't necessarily have a diagnosable mental health condition,
Yeah.
but are feeling overwhelmed by the pressures of life.
Okay, so it sounds like both of these therapies
Yeah.
are based on the idea that mindfulness can help us develop a new relationship with our thoughts and emotions, one that is more balanced and less reactive.
Exactly. And what's really encouraging is that both MBCT and MBSR have strong evidence bases. There's actual research showing that they can be effective in reducing symptoms of anxiety, depression, and stress.
That's really reassuring. It's not just anecdotal evidence or feel-good fluff, it's backed up by science.
Precisely. It's becoming increasingly clear that mindfulness is a powerful tool that can have a real impact on our mental and emotional well-being.
But one thing that struck me as really important was the honesty about mindfulness not being a magic bullet.
Right.
The Mental Health Foundation article actually mentions that it might not work for everyone.
Yeah, that's an important point.
Yeah.
It's crucial to approach mindfulness with an open mind, but also with realistic expectations.
Yeah.
It's a practice, a skill that you develop over time, and for some people it might not be the right fit, and that's okay.
It's about finding what works best for you on your journey to mental well-being.
Exactly.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
I agree, and I think it's important to remember that mindfulness isn't about forcing yourself into some kind of blissful state where you never experience negative emotions again. Right.
It's more about learning to navigate those emotions in a healthier way.
So it's not about eliminating those emotions altogether, but rather about changing our relationship with them.
Precisely. It's about developing a kind of inner resilience and ability to weather the storms of life without getting completely swept away. And that's a skill that can benefit anyone, regardless of their background or circumstances.
So it sounds like mindfulness is more about like building a toolkit of skills that can help us navigate those ups and downs of life rather than, achieving some sort of permanent state of bliss.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. It's about equipping ourselves to handle whatever challenges come our way with more awareness and compassion, both for ourselves and others.
And it's encouraging to know that even small doses of mindfulness can make a difference.
For sure.
I'm thinking of that section in the Mental Health Foundation guide about 1-minute mindfulness.
Oh, yeah.
They suggest simple things like taking a minute to just focus on your breath.
Or doing a quick body scan to notice any sensations you're feeling.
Those little micro practices can be surprisingly powerful.
Yeah.
It's like hitting the pause button on your busy mind and giving yourself a moment to reset.
Yeah.
And you can do those little resets throughout your day.
Yeah.
Whenever you need them waiting in line at the grocery store.
Right.
Boom, 1-minute mindfulness break.
Exactly, feeling overwhelmed by your inbox.
Yeah.
Mindfulness to the rescue.
There you go.
It's like having a secret weapon against stress and chaos.
And the beauty of it is that it's always available to you.
Yeah.
You don't need any special equipment or a fancy meditation cushion. All you need is your breath and your awareness.
So to recap, we've explored what mindfulness is, how it can benefit us, and some practical ways to weave it into our daily lives. But here's a final thought-provoking question for you to ponder. What if you committed to just 1 minute of mindful breathing each day? What impact might that have on your life over time?
That's a great question to leave our listeners with. It's often those small, consistent actions that can lead to the most profound transformations.
Absolutely. Who knows? Maybe that 1 minute turns into 5 minutes or 10 minutes or even a dedicated daily practice. The possibilities are endless
Prefer.
once you start down this path.
It's true.
We've included links to both the NHS and Mental Health Foundation resources in the show notes, so you can dive deeper into the world of mindfulness and find what resonates with you.
I encourage you to explore those resources and see what sparks your curiosity. There are so many different approaches and techniques out there. It's about finding what works best for you.
And as always, thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a fascinating topic.
See you next time.
Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.